the ocean, a place of feeling. I miss the way that place would make me feel inside. This life's a journey, it's made me who I am. So let's embrace it and turn the page, my friend. I don't regret it, it opened up my world. I'm starting over, back where I belong. Now I'm home, I feel like I'm letting go. I know I need a change, 'cause now I'm home, I feel like I'm moving on with time. I hope you'll feel the same. I'm coming home now, down the highway. This town I thought I'd stay in never felt the same. The sun is shining, it's what I needed. It's taken me some years, but now I'm on my way. Now I'm home, I feel like I'm letting go. I know I need a change, 'cause now I'm home, I feel like I'm moving on with time. I hope you'll feel the same. Now I'm home, I feel like I'm letting go. I know I need a change, 'cause now I'm home, I feel like I'm moving on with time. I hope you'll feel the same. I'm coming home now, a change season. I'm starting over, it's what I needed. I'm leaving home for the coastline, someplace under the sun. I feel my heart for the first time, 'cause now I'm moving on, yeah, I'm moving on. And there's a place that I've dreamed of, where I can free my mind. I hear the sounds of the seasons and lose all sense of time. I'm moving far away to a sunny place, where it's just you and me. Feels like we're in a dream, you know what I mean. The summer air by the seaside, the way it fills our lungs, the fire burns in the night sky. This life will keep us young, yeah, keep us young. By the ocean, our hearts will move with the tides, and we will wake in the morning to see the sun paint the sky. I'm moving far away to a sunny place, where it's just you and me. Feels like we're in a dream, you know what I mean. Feels like we're in a dream, you know what I mean. I'm moving far away to a sunny place, where it's just you and me. Feels like we're in a dream, you know what I mean. I will tread down a lonesome track, set my eyes on the wild and won't look back. I will follow where my heart reacts. Venture out to the great unknown, find a place where I can feel alive again. Throw caution to the wind, I'll find my feet on the way. I'll find my feet on the way. Climbing up from the valley below, seeing places and faces I've never known. I will follow to the open road, through the trees till I see the sun. Now I know that I can feel alive again. Throw caution to the wind, I'll find my feet on the way. 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 Step by step I come alive, lift my head up to the skies. Won't look back, I chase the sun, live the life I'm dreaming of. I'll find my feet on the way. 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 life can be so gracious sometimes. And I felt like everything around me was connected somehow. At night I hear the rhythm of the ocean as it breaks on the shore. And I think about all the things that I am grateful for. And they say, hold on to the ones you love, keep them close to you. And they say, hold on to this time we have, and let the light shine through. Sometimes I get a little bit emotional when I see love unfold. Two hearts bound by reflections of the memories they'll forever hold. And they say, hold on to the ones you love, keep them close to you. They say, hold on to this time we have, and let the light shine through. They say